Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Now today's video is on a topic that had never been discussed in Jamaica openly before ever. No blogger, no Jamaican blogger, no Jamaican journalist, no Jamaican author or writer or television newscaster have ever touched this topic. But because my back is so broad, I am going to touch it today. Today, an atheist is going to speak. An atheist is going to tell you how he became an atheist, why he's an atheist, and what drives him, what exactly an atheist really is. Now, I'm aware that some of you at this point may want to tune out based on the topic, or some might never even try to tune in. But I can assure you that if you stay with me, you will be more enlightened because you will know some things about a topic that is relevant to all human beings. One taboo topic that no Jamaican wants to touch, not even if they are in favor of what is being said or what I'm about to say. I can assure you all that if you stay with me, at the end of this video, you will never be the same person again. In terms of, you will never look at life the same way ever again. Because I will be saying some things and touching some topics and some issues that will either make you scared, make you relieved, make you happy, make you sad, or freak you out for the rest of your life. Now, is anybody prepared for that? If so, this is where you can tune out. One thing I can say though, that a bolt of lightning will not strike you dead for listening to what I'm about to say. Let us face it, if a bolt of lightning never struck any gunman when they're going out to kill people, I'm quite sure that a bolt of lightning will not flash and strike you dead just because you listen to one video. And I'm quite sure that while they were about to kill baby Saraya Paulwell, no bolt of lightning fell out of the sky and struck any of them dead. So, listening to a video, I don't think you should have any fear of that, okay? You're all gonna be just fine. Now, I'm just an ordinary guy in an ordinary life. There's nothing particularly special about me. The only thing special about me, or the only thing peculiar about me, is that I need evidence for things. I don't just jump into things unless I have evidence. That's the only difference with me from everybody, from other people. For example, I laugh at jokes. I like good music, like me Teddy P, me Luther Vandross, Smokey Robinson, Bobby Womack, and so on. I fall in love like everybody else. I get heartbroken if my love life fails. I love my kids. Just an ordinary guy. Atheists are just normal people. The difference with us is that we need evidence before accepting things. And tell me, is there anything wrong with that? Before I go on, I would just like people, if you can, if I ask any question, just guide me the right way if you think I have said anything wrong. If you think I'm unjustified in taking anything out of context, put it back in context for me and let me know where I need to go with this. So all I'm seeking from you guys is your help, right? So now, what kind of relationship? I've always seen the relationship between man and this Christian God as an extremely tenuous one. And every time I view it with some bemusement, what I'm actually seeing is the type of relationship that Not the Mama had with his boss, which is B.J. Richfield. Now, if any of you had used to watch the dinosaurs back in the 90s, you might remember Earl Sinclair, who is Not the Mama. Yes, actually, this is Not the Mama. This one is the baby. He is the baby. This is the daddy who is not the mama. Anyway, the relationship that Earl Sinclair, Not the Mama, had with his boss was an extremely fawning one. Earl Sinclair was obsequious, take everything his boss says. His boss insult him, do him everything on the face of the earth, have no respect for him, and all of that, and he takes it. So let me give you a clip of, just give you an idea of the relationship, I think, the tenuous, obsequious relationship that I think that Earl Sinclair have with his boss, and how I think it actually plays out when it comes to God and man. For example, look at this.
You sent for me, my captain?
Sinclair, I am a great and powerful dinosaur, and you, well, you're a puny nothing.
Thank you, sir.
Because of my position and social standing, I can say whatever I want to you, and you have no choice but to flatter me in return.
A few moments later.
Ah, why, you little snot-nosed twerp, I oughta...
Mr. Richfield, I think maybe you shouldn't talk to my son like that.
You think? You don't think! You're a tree pusher and you work for me! Or have you forgotten who you're talking to?
Hi.
A few moments later.
Now beat it! Now get your babbling green butt out that door and knock down those trees! Whoa! How dare you blame the company, you muling pack of ingrates! It's not the company's fault! It's never the company's fault!
It's my fault, isn't it, sir?
No, you sniveling sack of lard! And
A few moments later.
I called you big sniveling piles of blubber in here so we could all collectively congratulate Sinclair.
Hey, nice job.
Oh, shut up! Don't you even want to know why?
Do you want us to want to know why, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, one day I'm gonna gut you and turn you into luggage!
Well, I've always dreamed of traveling with you, too.
Oh, shut up!
I know it sounds funny and it looks funny, and I know I'm taking the mic, but if we read the Bible, we see where this plays out every day. We are nothing, nobody, nothing, don't think, don't do anything. I am all good, and no matter what madness I do, what evil I commit, how much blood I shed, I am still good, and you are still bad, and you must just face it, and that's it. I think that something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with it. And I think everybody should see something wrong with it if we can think. But I do think something is wrong with that. Basically, let us begin. What is an atheist? An atheist is simply someone who has no God. To be more specific, a person who have not yet found evidence of a God. But by the way, before I go any further, the atheist I'm talking about is me. Moi. I'm that atheist. And I am the most celebrated atheist in Jamaica. I am the most famous. Xavier Edward Newton Bryant Wurreyes is the most famous and most out there atheist in Jamaica. And I wear my atheism on my sleeve. I wear my atheism where everybody in the world can see it. I've always made it clear, I've always made it plain, and I've always proudly expressed my atheism anywhere and everywhere. That doesn't mean I actually go out and preach it. I never preach it. But if anything comes up where I have to say it, I let anybody know that this is my stance. This is where I stand. And yes, I am extremely proud of who I am. So, how did this all begin? One of the questions that people always ask me is, how did I become an atheist? And the plain and simple answer to that is, now this is going to bowl you over. We are all born atheists. Every single human being that has ever lived was born an atheist. Why? Because an atheist is not somebody who rejects God. An atheist is simply somebody who have not found evidence for a God and is just waiting for that evidence for a God to show itself so they can accept that God if it does exist. So that's all an atheist is. And all babies were born atheists until the society or the religion that they were born into, their parents or the society imposed that religion on them. That's when they become atheists. But if nobody imposes any of those teachings on them, they remain atheists until they die. That's it. You just don't know of a God, and you just don't know of one. Just like me, I don't know of any God who has been proven to exist. So I remain an atheist. But the final question is, when did my atheism start? Well, it started long before I even knew that the word exists. And here is the first day when I realized something was wrong with the Bible and religion. I started asking questions. And I remember at the age of 9 years old, I was walking through National Heroes Circle with my grandmother, Ethel Wright. And I decided to question her, ask her some questions to get this God thing straight. Because there were some things that was bothering me. So I asked her. I call her Mommy. I said, Mommy, does God know everything? And she said, yes. Yes, Eddie. They know everything. She said, yes, Eddie. Of course God know everything. So then did he know that Adam and Eve were going to eat the fruit in the Garden of Eden? She said, yes, of course. Then him not God, him not must know. So my next question was, so if God knew they were going to do it, why was he testing them? Because he said it was a test. She was silent. She thought through that for a moment, but was silent. So I continued. So it means that God was not actually testing them then. He was setting up the whole thing to get Adam and Eve to sin. My grandmother was still silent. You know what she did? She yanked my hand and said in a very stern tone of voice. She was actually getting angry. And she said, come out of God's business. Eddie, you have to come out of God's business. In other words, she lawyered up. She lawyered up. I will not say anything to incriminate myself. She pleaded the fifth right there and then. This got me more curious. Because these are questions that I need answers for. This was me as a 9-year-old. So I went about asking. I didn't bother to take this conversation any further. But I kept asking this question from other Christians and nobody could answer me. And this just led to me finding more and more and more questions that were unanswerable. And what I've found out since the age of 9 right through to my current age, I'm over 60, that anybody that I ask questions, they lawyer up. You can have a God that you love and you praise and you worship. He can jump the highest building, swim the deepest sea, do everything and anything, create universes, and you lawyer up when somebody asks you for clarifications and anything to do with your God? That makes no sense to me. And that was a big red flag. From the age of 9 until now, I have been met with stony silence. I've been met with people who, when I ask questions, they divert, they ignore, they become flustered, they feel threatened, they get angry. Some of them ostracized me, very few. So this wasn't going to get me closer to finding out if there's a God, because in all honesty, that's all I'm trying to do, find out if a God exists. But I'm not going to just say a God exists because you tell me to say it. Give me the evidence. But I get ghosted, and they lie up, and they plead the fifth, and they squirm and wiggle to get out of any questions I'm asking. Now, this is not how you profess and proliferate a religion. All my life, I have been trying to get people to simply answer my questions. Here is what some people say when I ask questions that they cannot answer, which I would say they cannot answer. They say, just ask God to come into your heart. Ask God to come into your heart. And when God comes into your heart, you can then ask him these questions, because God will be able to tell you these things when he comes into your heart. Now, stick a pin. Does that make sense? I am trying to find out if this God exists. And what you're telling me is, make believe that this God exists. Invite him into your heart. Think of him as being real and sincerely believe that he is real. And then let him into your heart and then you question him. That makes sense. You're telling me now I should believe it without the evidence I'm seeking and then ask this imaginary thing that I conjure up in my heart and introduce in my heart and start to delude myself that it is real, and then I ask it if it is real or to produce the evidence. That don't make no sense. You're totally taking me back to the place that I did not want to go. You're telling me, say, choosing to believe it without evidence. That's coming like when you're a little child and your parents tell you, listen, if you take some salt and sprinkle it on a bird's tail, they can't move and you'll catch the bird. Will you be able to ever sprinkle salt on a bird's tail?
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
That didn't make any sense. That was total nonsense. And I was not just ghosted in person because I have 600, nearly 700 people on my Facebook profile, in my friends list. And 2 or 3 times a week, I put out questions, open questions for all the people on my Facebook profile to see about questioning so that I can find God and ask questions. And whenever I ask questions on Facebook, I get ghosted. Everybody on my profile lawyer up. Now, how can you be wanting people to reach God and you are not prepared to answer any question? You're not prepared to even think of questions. You don't want to know anything. You just indulge in a delusion. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, answer my questions. Why should I make believe something exists without the evidence? Is that rational? No, if that isn't one of the biggest red flags you can have towards any tenet or philosophy, I don't know what is. Why does everybody lawyer up when it comes to answering questions about their religion? Why everybody lawyer up? Can somebody be preaching the truth and lawyer up if you try to get clarifications? So guys, that is why I have remained an atheist, because everybody lawyer up on me. Nobody wants to know. Everybody ghosts me if I try to ask questions. So I'm going to list a few of the questions that I asked, because so far I have compiled about 1,700 plus questions that I have that I've always been asking, and not one single one have been answered satisfactorily. Not one single one have been answered using logic, rational, common sense, reason, facts, or evidence. Not one. How do you expect me to accept your teaching if under those circumstances? Why would any rational person even accept such teachings under those conditions? Some people say just have faith is the surest way of being wrong. Guys, as I said, I'm seeking answers. So if there's anybody on my profile, anybody in my who is watching my videos who can give me answers, you can lead me to God if he exists. You can lead me, because I'm not saying that there is no God. I'm simply saying I have found no evidence. So if you can find me the evidence, indisputable evidence, you can lead me straight to this God. This is your opportunity to save an atheist, quote unquote, save an atheist. Now, one of the most important questions I get ghosted for and hated for is this question. According to the Bible, between the people that God smoted, brimstoned, plagued, struck dead, and those that he sent in his bloodthirsty marauding thugs to slaughter, it amounts to between 47 and 56 million people. And that's not counting the countless millions that he drowned in the flood. I'm not making up these numbers. It's right there in his own book that he allegedly inspired to be written. Between 47 and 56 million, they could even get a good number when they calculate all the numbers in the Bible. Don't know the full amount of people on the earth. But believe me, it is a hell of a lot of millions of people that this God killed. So, no Christian knew those numbers. None. Not a single one I've ever quoted who knew those numbers. But how many people had Satan killed? The Bible tells you exactly how many people Satan killed. No Christian listening to this knows how many people Satan killed. But now for the first time in your life, you're going to hear how many people Satan killed. Satan, according to God's Bible, the Bible that God wrote and listed the number of people Satan killed, the Bible say, or God say, Satan killed 10 people. I didn't make that brown stuff up. Somebody else did. But according to the Bible, Satan killed only 10 people. Who was those 10? Those were the 7 sons and 3 daughters of Job. God and Satan had a bet that after God was throwing plagues and all kind of disease and thing on and kill off all of Job's slaves and thing, God turned to Satan and said, listen, Job will never fail me. Job will always love me no matter how I do to him. Because of course he's God, he must know. But here is what. I want you know him love him kids them. I want you to kill all of Job's children. And when you kill all of Job's children, I bet you Job's still going to love me. So Satan killed the 7 sons and 3 daughters of Job. And likewise, Job still loved God. The point I'm making is, even the 10 people that Satan killed, he didn't do it of his own accord. He did it in cahoots with God. So if left to his own devices, according to the Bible, we're just going by the Bible now, we can presume that left to his own devices, Satan might not have killed a single human being. He did it in cahoots with God. So if the 10 Satan killed, he didn't even kill them on his own. I didn't make this up. But guess who everybody say is the bad guy? The one who killed 10. Not the one who killed countless and countless and countless millions. It's the one who killed 10. And when you point this out to every Christian, the delusion exists to the point that where they will still say, no, Satan is still the bad guy. Now we see how delusion works. Now you can't expect me to call a spade a machete or call a box, call it a chair, just because of faith. I'm going to call things as it is. And those are the things I try to get clear up. And this is where people run. Have I asked wrong questions? Isn't this question a relevant question that any rational person should be asking? Isn't this facts that people should know? Or isn't this things that people should know about their God or their Bible or their religion? It's wrong to ask. Why? All I'm seeking is clarification. Which leads me to ask, not only if there is a God, but if there is one, is he good? Based on what he writes about himself in his Bible, is he good? And one of the main things that turns me as a human being who loves people, who is a humanitarian and who has compassion for others and who feels such great sympathy for suffering people, one of the things that bothers me is what religion and Christianity in particular has done to Africa. And I have to ask this question, and tell me why I should ask this question. Let's look at, for example, some Northern European countries, Northern and Eastern European countries. Now, let us take countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, Iceland, Russia, the Netherlands, Poland, and so on. And some Asian countries like Japan, China, Hong Kong. Well, Hong Kong is part of China, sort of way. And Taiwan is a country, but it's kinda not a country. South Korea, and so on. What all these countries have in common is that they are rich, their people are happy, their people are morally outstanding. Some of these countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland, they doesn't even have prisons, and the prisons, they have prisons, but the prisons are empty because there is nobody committing crime. You can leave your phone anywhere. For example, Singapore, which those people, all the countries I just called, those people have no gods. Those people, those are atheist countries. These countries, they are happy people, morally upstanding people, has no crime, they have no backbiting, they are not murdering others. They are just happy, morally upstanding people living very wonderful lives, and they are very decent human beings. And these people live in those countries are atheists. They are living some of the happiest lives and most morally upstanding lives that any human being could ever live. And they do all this without having a God. Before I go on, I have to give you a story. And this story was related to me by a Jamaican exchange student. She was on a government exchange program and she was sent to Norway. And I don't remember the name of the village, the town she was staying in. But in the town she was staying in, it happened that on a Sunday she wanted to go to church. And in that entire town, there was no church in the entire town. We were like, no, we don't have a church in this town. So they know of a church in another town which was about 15 miles away, closer to Oslo, which is the capital. They decided one Sunday that they would take her to that church. And when she went to that church, there were 11 people in that church. All of these people were like in their 50s and 60s. She was the only younger person there apart from the people who took her there. But she said that the people were so happy and they were lively. She said you could put down your phone on any counter of any business place or leave it on any shop piazza, and it would be taken up and protected, and you would get it back because it would go to the station. She said that the year she was there, which I think that it was about 2001, it's either 2000 or 2001, and she said that for that entire year, not one single murder was committed in Norway. She said that the only death that made the news in that country and made headline news was the death of a dog. There I said it, the death of a dog. And how do you think the dog died? Is that nobody killed the dog? I mean, nobody didn't kill the dog. Nobody, it wasn't run over by a car. Why this dog made the news is that it died of old age. It had lived longer than any other dog of that species had ever lived before, and the dog died of old age, and it made front page news. Now this is a country, Norway, which it's just basically pure atheists live there. The same thing can be said of Sweden and Iceland and Denmark and the Netherlands and so many more countries. Let's look on the flip side. And these are facts that we cannot get away from. Look on the flip side. Look at Africa. Africa is filled with religious people and churches. Have you ever seen another land that is so filled with diseases and hunger and poverty and famines and pestilence and ignorance and illiteracy and necromancy and immorality and banditry like Africa? And guess what? Africa is full with Christians and full with churches and full with pastors. Now, we cannot lose sight of the fact anywhere Christianity seems to take root, poverty and evil just seems to follow. Why? But tell me not to ask. The fact is there, and I have to ask. I have to point it out. Take Jamaica, for example. Jamaica is said to have the most churches per square mile than any other country on earth. And look at us. Everybody here believes in God. And guess how much people per year we dispatch? Roughly 1,500 people out of a population of only 3 million people. Now, make that make sense. Make that make sense. And I, as a person who does not have a God, but is still searching for one, I have higher standards of morality than nearly every Christian I know. Why does God visit, and I have to ask, why does God visit evil and those that ascribes to his name as against those who don't? Oh yeah, we can blame Satan. It's always Satan's fault. Wow. Now, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to say now, guys, I'm not an atheist because I want to sin or because I want to rule myself or because I don't like law and order, because the people who know me is that I'm an ordinary guy with an ordinary life, and I have strong moral values. Now guys, please feel free to answer my questions. See if I have given any justifiable reasons for maintaining my atheism. But as I said, I'm just searching for answers. And my reason to come on here is not to ridicule anyone, but to say, listen, this is who I am. So guys, like, share, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.